Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing the Zhang versus Kabayel breakdown and prediction video, as Zhilei Jang, the former interim heavyweight champion, is set to collide with undefeated contender Agit Kabayel, as they will collide for the vacant WBC interim heavyweight title when they are a part of the last crescendo DAZN pay-per-view card that takes place February 22nd, brought to us by DAZN, as it's part of the huge Beterbiev versus Bivol rematch undercard for the undisputed light heavyweight title. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So, I'm going to be straight with you guys. If you are not excited about this fight, then you're not a boxing fan, straight up. And about this card in general. This card is fucking stacked top to bottom. And, you know, if you haven't seen my breakdown videos before, basically we get, I break down the fight in detail. I talk about the fight, what's at stake, what it means first, and then we get into each fighter individually. Now, in a contenders bout like this, because there is no, the interim title is vacant, we go A side first, B side second. Zhilei Jang's the A side. Agit Kabayel is the B side. We will ask the same questions on both sides. We'll talk about what they've done coming in, their last three fights. Then at the end of the video, I will ask one final question and then give my prediction. So this fight, what's at stake? What does it mean? I mean, this is a monster heavyweight fight right here. In terms of where I got these guys ranked, Agit Kabayel is my number 8 heavyweight in the world right now, and Zhilei Jang is my number 5 heavyweight in the world right now. The winner is absolutely moving into, probably, will move into that top 4 type area. Both these guys have been rolling, especially since Riyadh season opened up. They've exploded onto the scene as big names. I mean, there were, Zhilei Jang especially was already a name prior, but he's now a big name, that everybody knows. And Agit Kabayel has scored a couple big wins that have thrown him into the serious mix. The WBC interim heavyweight title's on the line. We don't know if, I think Alexander Usyk's probably looking at the winner of Parker and Dubois first. But after that, does he give up his belts? Does he fight this guy next? The winner of Zhang and Kabayel next? Who knows? But all I know is the winner of this fight is in prime position to either be upgraded to WBC champ at some point and be a serious player, or be in line for a potential shot at undisputed against Alexander Usyk. So big things are coming for the winner of this fight. So now let's jump into, first we're going to look at the age and dimensions on each guy. We'll look at record. Zhang is 27-2-1. Agit Kabayel is 25-0. The odds are even. It's near even fight right now. I think the odds are kind of going back and forth. I think slightly, they got Kabayel, but it's very, very even. It's a very evenly matched fight in a lot of people's mind. Zhang is 41 years old. Kabayel's 32, so 9 years younger. In terms of size, their average weight is about a 45-pound difference. Their latest weight, Zhilei Jang came in at 282, almost 283, and Kabayel came in at about 239. Zhang stands at 6'6" to Kabayel 6'3". We don't have a reach on Kabayel right now, so Zhang is a naturally bigger man. So now let's get into each fighter and break them down. We start with Zhilei Jang. Big Bang Zhang is what they call him. Again, 41 years old. His last 3 fights date back to September of 23, where he scored his most convincing win in terms of throwing his name into the mix. He rematched Joe Joyce for the WBO interim heavyweight title. He had upset Joyce 5 months prior, but that was stopped by the doctor because of bad swelling over the eye. or on the eye of Joyce where he couldn't see. So the fight was stopped, and it was a monster upset. But this fight was to leave no doubt. And at the time, it was the biggest win of his career. It was a brutal third-round knockout win over Joyce as he seriously left no doubt, and retained the WBO interim heavyweight title. Then about 6 months later, less than 6 months later, he would get a big opportunity to take on Joseph Parker. Parker was coming off of his upset win over Deontay Wilder on the Day of Reckoning card. And this was Zhang's debut with Riyadh season because he didn't fight on the Day of Reckoning card. So Zhang came in the favorite. A lot of people thought he was gonna get Parker out of there, but Parker pulled off his second consecutive upset. And in a close fight, Zhang put Parker down a couple times. Zhang would come up short, losing a close majority decision to Parker as he just seemingly got outworked in that fight. Ran out of gas, got outworked. But he would return less than 3 months later in the biggest fight of his career when he would take on former longtime WBC champion Deontay Wilder. And this ended up being a banger right here for as long as it lasted. I mean, Wilder put up the best fight that he could, but Zhilei Jang just went in there and brutally dominated and ended up scoring a brutal knockout victory with a right hook. This was on the 5 versus 5 card. And really, just like I said, threw his name to where you really know him across the board now. You know, real boxing fans knew him. Now you really know him because he destroyed Deontay Wilder. So he's coming into this fight fucking hungry. Yeah, he lost the fight to Parker, but it was close. His other loss was to Filip Hrgović back in 2022 in a very close fight. So this dude has not been soundly defeated before, and he's fought the who's who of guys dating back to the Hrgović fight. I mean, seriously, since the Hrgović fight on now, that's 5 fights in a row. He's fought Filip Hrgović, Joe Joyce twice, Joseph Parker, and Deontay Wilder. So he's fought a who's who of guys. He's pumped up. He's ready. Zhilei Jang is ready for this fight. Now, what does he need to do to win this fight against Agit Kabayel? Well, Kabayel's the younger, maybe the better boxer. He's looked good against 2 different styles. He's going to be tough to figure out. So Zhang is going to have to try to make a statement early with his power, because we know he faded against Joseph Parker, and he hasn't fought against Parker and against Hrgović. Those are the only 2 12-round fights of his last 5, and he lost both of those fights. So obviously, he does have a little bit of stamina issue there. He's an old dude. He's 41. He doesn't want this fight to go the distance. So he really needs to try to get in there, make a statement early, but not go for broke to where he gets caught, because Kabayel has been fucking sharp. And it doesn't just need to be a head-hunting mission. He needs to cut the ring off. He needs to box. He needs to throw his jab. He needs to use that size advantage that he has and set it up. And I'd say maybe try to set it up early with some power shots to where he can effectively break down Hrgović and stop him maybe around the middle rounds. But he needs to be in great shape. But you know what? It's been a while in between fights for him. It's been, by the time of the fight, it's going to be almost 9 months to where he's had time to train and be ready. You know, in between Parker and Wilder, there was less than 3 months. So that's going to be good for him. And I think if he comes in with that kind of style, he's got a serious chance of winning. Now, can Zhilei Jang win this fight by knockout? Yeah, I think Zhang can knock anybody out. I mean, Zhang has that power, that kind of power. He's a deadly fighter with power punching. I mean, the dude, that's what he's known for. So absolutely, I think he can win by knockout. Can he win a decision? That's going to be tougher. I'm not going to say he can't, but I think if it goes to the cards, it's going to be close if he wins a decision. So for Zhang, if he pulls off the win, what's more likely? Is it a knockout or a decision? And I'd say probably 70-30 more likely that if he wins, it's by knockout in this fight. So now what does a win mean for Zhilei Jang? I mean, it really is, I wouldn't say do or die, because Zhang's kind of got that attitude where he'll fight as long as he can with that kind of power. So I say a win means everything in terms of like striking while the iron's hot and being in the serious picture. Now a loss is definitely a setback, you know, and he might have to go back to the drawing board and start from scratch, and beat somebody else convincing. But if he can pull off the win, if he can get the win, that's huge for him. He becomes the interim champion. He puts himself in line. He's an entertaining guy with a big name. He knocked out Deontay Wilder. It's all good things if he pulls off the victory. So a win is big for Zhilei Jang here. What does a loss mean? It would really depend on how he loses. Because it's a near even fight, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised if he loses this fight. But, Kabayel's not a big name, but he's going to make a big statement with a victory. But a loss, if he gets his ass whipped, maybe gets stopped in this fight or loses a convincing decision, I don't think it's going to hurt him too bad. I just think he's going to move back to that bottom of the top 10 instead of, the top 5 where you want to be. And right now, as I said, it's going to hurt him because Usyk, we don't know how much time he has left. We don't know who he's going to fight, but he is going to fight entertaining dudes in big fights. And Zhilei Zhang's an entertaining dude. So you never know. Usyk might say, fuck it, I'll fight him, after the winner of Dubois Parker. Maybe he can fight one of those two. Maybe get the rematch with Parker. I mean, there's a ton of options there if he is victorious. So a loss definitely hurts Zhilei Jang. So now let's move over to the B side, the undefeated heavyweight contender, Agit Kabayel, and break him down. First, we're going to start with what Kabayel's done coming into this fight. We're going to date back to his last 3. Again, 32 years old. He's undefeated. His last 3 fights date back to March of 23 when he took on a guy named Agron Smakichi and scored a 3rd round TKO victory over him. After that was the win that got him noticed. He fought on the Day of Reckoning card. He went in as the B-side against an undefeated knockout artist named Arslanbek Makhmudov. He was supposed to get wasted, and he did the wasting. He absolutely beat the shit out of Makhmudov, broke him down, body shot, knockout victory. I mean, he was just fucking all over this dude, and he was supposed to be the guy that got wasted like that. So he went out there and dominated Makhmudov in December of 2023 on the Day of Reckoning card and really threw his name out there. But then he got a different kind of opponent, a fellow undefeated named Frank Sanchez, and he got on the undercard of the Usyk and the Fury Usyk 1 fight for undisputed, the Ring of Fire card that was part of Riyadh season. And he totally turned everybody's head with a dominant performance over Frank Sanchez. I mean, he absolutely dominated Frank Sanchez. Body shots, again, led to a 7th round TKO victory as he remained undefeated. And really, that was the biggest win of his career because Makhmudov was one thing, he's very inexperienced. Sanchez was a fellow dude on the rise that had already had a nice win over F.A. Ajagba and was really, he had fought on the Day of Reckoning card as well. And he was really the favorite going into that fight. So for Kabayel to come in and not just beat him, he beat the shit out of Frank Sanchez. That really turned a lot of people's heads. And that's what's led to this fight right here. So so this is the biggest fight of Kabayel's career. And he's hungry. He's ready for this fight. It's not the biggest fight of Zhang's career, but it's the biggest fight of Kabayel's. And it's on a monster card. And he has a statement to make. He's hungry. And this is his 3rd consecutive Riyadh season card. So he's comfortable now in this spotlight. Even though he's the B-side, he's not the underdog. It's an even fight. So he's definitely knows that. He's confident as hell. And I think he's ready to fucking rock and roll here. So what does Agit Kabayel need to do to win the fight? Well, obviously, I mean, I think the first thing is he needs to stay out of range of those big bombs. But he needs to cut the ring off and he needs the box. I mean, it's the body. Honestly, if he invests into the body the way he has against Makhmudov and Sanchez, he can be victorious. But while he's doing that, he needs to weather the storm because Zhang's going to be going after him. Zhang is tricky. He's got quick hands on the inside. It reminds me of Andy Ruiz on the inside. He gets on the inside. He's got those short fucking sharp shots. That right hook. It's going to be the right hook of Zhang versus the body attack of Kabayel. But if he can do that and he can wear him down, he's the younger guy. He can if he's in great shape, ready for 12, and he can break him down, I think he has a very good chance of pulling off the win. So can Kabayel win this fight by knockout? I think he can. Zhang's not a dude you just hurt on one punch. You can, but he's more of an accumulation. You're going to break him down. And I think Kabayel can win that kind of fight. I do believe that. So, yeah, I think he can win by knockout. Now, can Kabayel win a decision? Yeah, I think he can win a decision. I think he's the better boxer between the two. I think he's the fresher guy, the guy who has maybe more of a well-rounded attack and doesn't just rely on one thing. So, yeah, I think Kabayel can win a decision. Now, if Kabayel pulls off the victory, is it more likely that it's by a knockout or a decision? That's tough to call, but I'd say more likely if he wins, I would say the consensus would be it would be by a decision over 12. I could see that. So I'd say maybe it's more in the favor of like 55-45, 60-40. But I definitely think a knockout is possible. So, it might even be higher chances that it's more likely to be a decision over a knockout, but we'll see. Now, what does a victory mean for Agit Kabayel? It means the world. This is his moment right here. And to me, it's do or die because he's not a big name. He's got a name that you can't pronounce really well. And so because people don't know him, if Zhang goes out there and beats the shit out of him, then he seriously moves to the back of the line. Now, he's only 32. He's still got time. Heavyweights are notoriously older right now. The division is an older division. There's only a couple younger guys. So that wouldn't hurt him too bad. But, where he's at right now, not being a huge name, this is a fight that he needs to win, and it's the biggest fight of his career. So, yeah, a win means everything for Kabayel. Now, what does a loss mean? Well, I kind of just mentioned it. It's devastating. It would really hurt Kabayel. A loss, any kind of loss. A close loss doesn't hurt him as bad. It would be the first loss of his career, a close loss to a really legitimate fighter and an even fight. If he loses like a close decision to Zhang, I think he's still kind of in that mix. But again, he doesn't have a big name, so I think that hurts him. But if he were to just get blasted and get knocked out, then he seriously moves to the back of the line, and that would hurt him bad. So any kind of loss is going to be devastating for him, but the worst one-sided kind of losses, that would be the biggest one. All right, so we've done both fighters. So last question. Is it better for boxing if Zhilei Jang wins this fight, or is it better for boxing if Agit Kabayel wins this fight? In the short term, it's better for boxing if Zhang wins this fight. Zhang is a heavy-handed guy, entertaining as hell, knocked out Deontay Wilder. He's a guy you want to watch. He's got that style. He's got the attitude. He's hungry. And again, he fucking hits with a ton of power. And you know him because he destroyed Wilder. So you can see him getting into that mix against somebody serious in the next year. But in terms of long-term, I think it's better for boxing if Kabayel wins the fight. He's younger. He's undefeated. He could be the next few years of the heavyweight division. So I think it's good either way. But again, short-term Zhang, long-term Kabayel, in my opinion. So now finally, what's my prediction? Who's going to win? Who's going to become the WBC interim heavyweight champion in this fight? And this is not an easy fight for me to predict, but I am picking Agit Kabayel to defeat Zhilei Jang by a stoppage in the late rounds. I think this fight's going to end between rounds 9 and 11. I think Kabayel is going to invest in the body. I think he's going to look at the footage of what Joseph Parker was successful doing. I think he's going to take a note out of that book and then add to it a more sound body attack. Again, I think it comes down to Zhang's right hook versus the body attack of Kabayel. But Kabayel can mix it up head to top. I think he's the fresher of the two because he's only 32 years old. He's 9 years younger. I think that's going to play the difference. I do think Zhang, though, is it's almost a dead even fight. I do think he has a very good chance of winning. I just think if it gets late, he's going to be the guy that wears out. And if it goes to the scorecards, I can't really see Zhang taking a decision. It's not that he can't. Yeah, he probably can win a decision, but I think he's really going to have a high work rate, and it's going to drain him. And I just think Kabayel is hungry and ready to rock and roll. So I'm picking Agit Kabayel to win this fight by a stoppage in the late rounds. I think it's going to be a great fight. I think it could go either way, though, but I'm going with Kabayel by TKO. So that's it. That's what I got. That is my Zhang versus Kabayel breakdown and prediction video as they will collide for the vacant WBC interim heavyweight championship of the world. That fight takes place February 22nd on the Last Crescendo. Beterbiev versus Bivol 2 undisputed title rematch. DAZN pay-per-view undercard brought to you by Riyadh Season. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing, and you've been hit with the truth.